Welcome back, guys, to another Viking Village update. Today we're taking a look at just some of the things I've been doing, and I said many times I don't like how close these are. There's no space between them. I don't think that it goes well. So my plan was originally to separate the two of them and add another, I guess we call it a module in there. We had this back here, just a frame that we have to just make sure everything was lining up okay. I lined up the blocks so that it would be able to clip in just like the original one did together. As you can see it, I'm just checking to make sure it lined up there. But once I had that all together, we're just going to use a couple pieces and parts that we ordered over here. And we're going to put together just the foundation just using that tan. I just figured I'd speed this up in the form of a time lapse because I won't lie, I fumbled my way through this. I was trying to make sure that I did the math right and lined everything up in a really awkward way, and then it made it really difficult to put these plates on. And if I was smart, I would have just taken them all back off and put them back on later in a better way. But I wasn't smart, so I kind of took way too long to do that. But it worked. It was all together. It fit in beautifully, made it nice and flush just where the other one was. And then one of the ideas I had was to improve the rock work that was over there on the left side, right next to the blacksmith's hut. And I wanted to make that more of an realistic looking rock pile or rock formation, I guess. So I took my time and just put a few things in there, finished the first layer, and I kind of liked the way that it looked. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not the best with rock work. I'm definitely a novice with that. I want to get better with that. And something I noticed at this point was that because of the angle of the left module, it was very difficult to line things up perfectly. I had several gaps there that there wasn't really pieces I had to fill. There's a little bit in the corner there, then in the middle on the other side of the snow, there's that, which you might be able to fit a cheese slope in there. I didn't try that. Um, I ended up just covering up with something else later, but I definitely wasn't thrilled with those, and I tried coming up with some solutions. I spent a good bit of time digging around in my um, gray parts box, trying to figure out what I could do, and then decided just okay, maybe I'll make a second layer and see if I can put some slopes over top of it and cover it up, which kind of worked. And then yeah, long awkward pause here. My apologies. I could edit it out, but I'm just gonna leave it in here and show that I was rummaging around looking for more parts. How could I fill in this hole? Something just the way that I had put the things in. I was like, I don't know if I have the parts to actually fill these properly without more awkward gaps. So I had spent quite a while rummaging, and I apologize for that. And I started working on a rough outline for a house. I didn't have a ton of parts that I liked for it. I didn't really have anything for a roof, and I didn't have a lot for windows and different things. Then I realized I really don't like the middle section, so I thought maybe I'll scavenge from this. So fast forward a few months, and there are definitely a lot of changes from what we had. I ended up pushing this whole section back to allow for room here. We're going to continue that blue tiling all the way over, and we're going to be adding a dock here probably. And I really didn't like how close the house was here. I want to be able to add a path that goes and wraps all the way around into his door, which the other door is not perfect. It doesn't really work well. I mean, it does open to there, and then it starts to break. I'm not great at building doors. I'm definitely going to spend some time on that, but it was just a quick mock-up. There's a little interior there. There's a messy pantry, a kitchen. There's supposed to be, you really can't see it very well, There you go. There's a little bit of color there. It's supposed to be like some embers that they use to cook on. 2 beds in there. But like I said, it's just a quick mock-up. I'm going to be adding a gradient to the house. I'm going to be doing a roof. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to be doing it similar to this, where there's 2 that meet in the center, or if I just build one up in the back and then add just a 45 onto it. We'll see. I'll probably play around with that for a while. I contemplated just completely using the roof from the middle section because, as you can see, I demolished the entire thing. I didn't really like that section of the build at all anyways, and I figured might as well use it for parts. So we'll see. I went ahead and I added a pile of coal here. I was going to do one of iron ore, but I didn't know whether or not it would blend in too much with the rocks there. I added a lot of snow detail to it, I thought it made it, match more with the surroundings with all the snow, and kind of just added some extra texture to the rocks. I think it polished off more than the first rock pile I had that spent so long on, and then it was just, yeah, I'm glad I took that apart. I added a few water barrels over here, so they have fresh drinking water, and that's all I really have for now. I added a little squirrel friend for them too. Um, I'm definitely going to be adding some more. I'll probably have more plant life in this area. Like I said, I'll have the path that wraps around. Be finishing up the house, making a pier here. Now, I'm not sure if this section necessarily will have it, or if it'll just be water and some rock work. And then maybe a future section will be more of a like shipyard area. But this is what I've come up with now, and just got to keep building. Thank you all for checking in, and appreciate it so much, and have a great day.